Good morning, students. Moving further with the syllabus, today we'll start history chapter number 9, that is the making of regional cultures. So children, in this chapter you are going to learn about various cultures of different regions that developed during the medieval period. Like different languages were developed, literatures were written, fine arts saw major changes during this period, and the number of languages that developed in different parts of India were like Arabic, Persian, which were introduced when the invaders came to India. Now first we'll start with the culture of Rajasthan. It has a very distinctive type of culture, and the main development was made in architectural styles, music, dance, paintings and religious traditions. Even the rulers of Rajasthan, that is one of the famous ruler, Chauhan ruler, that is Prithvi Raj Chauhan, they have also contributed a lot in the development of culture there. Mainly the architectural culture of Rajasthan is derived from the Rajput school of architecture. Its examples includes astonishing forts, temples and the splendid havelis, which are now the essential parts of its cultural heritage. Okay, so by looking at these forts, temples and the havelis that were there in Rajasthan, that depicts the architectural style of that place. Another examples are like Dilwara temples, Chittorgarh fort, Lake Palace hotel, Jaisalmer havelis and city palace. All these depict the Rajasthan architectural features. Then in Bengal, art and literature were developed. While Persian was its official language, Bengali language also developed as a regional language, and many works were written by the poets, authors in the Bengali language. Even the epics Mahabharata and Ramayana and other texts were also converted into Bengali language. Next comes Orissa. Orissa is famous for the Jagannath cult, that is at Puri. This temple is famous for the worship of Lord Jagannath. And the Mughals, the Marathas and even the British East India Company all attempted to gain control over this temple because it could make the local people work under them. To have their control over this place, they wanted to control this temple, the Jagannath temple at Puri. Even the Jagannath Rath Yatra, it is the famous festival that is celebrated there by the people of Orissa. Now coming to the regional literature and languages. Here you will learn about the different languages and the literature written in those languages. So the very first is Sanskrit, that developed during the ancient times. It was a medium of both writing and learning in our country since ancient times. Means texts were written in Sanskrit language, even people used to learn how to read and write Sanskrit language at that time. Most of the works were translated into Sanskrit, like Dharamshastra. They were written in Sanskrit. The epics, Mahabharata and Ramayana, they were also written. Purans, all were written in Sanskrit language. Then there were two most famous works of two great writers of that period. One is Somdev's Kathasarit Sagar, and the another one is Kalhana's Rajtarangini. These two are the chronicles. One tells us about the historical chronicle of the kings of Kashmir. Another was the Geet Govind, written by Jayadev. It was one of the finest poems written in Sanskrit literature. It describes the stories of Lord Krishna and Radha. Then another was written by Chanbardai, that is Prithvi Raj Raso, and it tells us about the heroic deeds of Prithvi Raj Chauhan. Now next is Hindi, our mother tongue. So the modern Indian languages and literature, the Braj Bhasha and Khadi Boli, these are the two forms. Another two forms were Bhojpuri and Avdi. These were all the forms of Hindi language. Famous Rajasthani ballad, Alha Udal and Vishal Dev Raso belong to this period when this Khadi Boli and Braj Bhasha was prevalent. Then in the later Bhojpuri and Avdi was famous. and Kabir wrote the in Bhojpuri language his dohas. So the dohas of Kabir, they were written in Bhojpuri language. And Padmavat, written by Malik Muhammad Jaisi, that was written in Avdi language. Even the famous Ramcharitmanas by Tulsidas, that was also written in Avdi language of that period. Next language is Urdu. It was heavily influenced by the Arabic, Persian as well as Turkish languages. Urdu language shared its origins with Hindi. Hindi went on to be written in Devanagari, and its vocabulary has more of Sanskrit influence. Means Hindi language has a influence of Sanskrit language, but the Urdu language has influence of Persian and Arabic languages. Then during the 14th and 15th centuries, poetry and literature also began to be written in Urdu language. It got flourished during the time of Alauddin Khalji. Even the works that were written in Sanskrit and Persian language were later on converted into Urdu. Next is the Assamese language, basically spoken in the Assam area. So main development done in Assamese literature was by Bhakti saints, Mahadev, who wrote Bhakti Ratnavali, which talks about different aspects of Bhakti. So in this Bhakti Ratnavali, we find the different philosophies related to the Bhakti. Even this Bara Geets were also written. These were the hymns in the praise of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan, and another work describing the childhood of Krishna. Like that only Vishnu Puran and Bhagavad Gita, those were also translated into Assamese language. Then in the Odisha region, Odia language was developed in the 18th century. Major works in this language appeared but in 13th and 14th century. Some important writers of this language were Sarla Das and Balram Das and Jagannath Das. Even the Bhakti movement of Chaitanya and the Vaishnav poets, they made a lot of influence, affected this Aryan literature. Then next is the Punjabi language. Major contribution to this language was made at the end of 15th century by Guru Nanak. The first version of Adi Granth, that is the holy script of the Sikhs, that was compiled by the 5th Sikh Guru Arjan Dev at Amritsar in Punjabi language. Even he also wrote Sukhmani, one of the longest medieval poems in this same language. Next is Marathi, spoken in the South Indian states. Major contribution was made by the saint poets like Eknath and Tukaram. Next, we have the Bengali language, spoken in Bengal. So, early Bengali literature was divided into two categories. One that consisted mostly of translated Sanskrit words, and other was independent of Sanskrit. Means one has the influence of Sanskrit and another was independent of the Sanskrit language. Now the various Sanskrit epics like Mahabharata, Ramayana, Mangal Kavyas and Bhakti literature, they all were translated into Bengali language. The second category of Bengali language, that includes the Nath literature such as the songs of Mainamati and Gopi Chandra. Next comes the Persian language, that was introduced by the Turks and the Persian. That it was the official language of the Mughal Empire. The invaders, the Turkish invaders, those who invaded India during the medieval period, they brought with them this language to India. One of the most important writer, Amir Khusro, of the medieval period, he was a great poet, scholar, mathematician and historian. He has written one of the important work in this language, that is Tughlaqnama. Another work written in this language was N.A. Akbari or Akbarnama by Abul Fazl. Even other text epics were also translated in the Persian language. The next are the South Indian languages Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam and Kannada. Here also different poets came and different literatures, different works of poetry were written. Even the secular literatures were written. Next comes that in Telugu language, Mahabharata and Ramayana, works of grammar, science, and other secular literature were translated. Then in the Tamil, the Alvars and the Nayanars that you have studied earlier also, that they were the saints of Bhakti movement. They composed great hymns in the Tamil language to spread Bhakti movement in South India. The literature of the Alvars, written by the Alvars, they were known as Prabandhs, and the literature written by the Nayanars were known as Tevaram. Then the Malayalam language, it was spoken in the Kerala area. The first literary work in the Malayalam was written in 12th century, which was directly indebted to Sanskrit language. Another work that was written in the 14th century was Lilati Lakam, which deals with the grammar, which tells the grammar and the poetics, that was composed in the another language, that is Mani Pravalam, which was the combination of Sanskrit and the regional language Malayalam. Mani Pravalam was the combination of Sanskrit and Malayalam language, and Lilati Lakam was written in this language, Mani Pravalam. Then came the next language, the Kannada. In Kannada, there were three popular poets or the authors like Pampa, Pona and Rana. They together were referred to as three jewels of Kannada literature. And they have also written many of the literary works in this language. So that's all for today. Have a nice day.